Human repair bays became the top choice for alien captains. Earth was quiet that morning. Cities slept under the soft light of dawn, and the ocean shone silver under the rising sun. People went about their ordinary lives, unaware of what was happening far above in the sky. High above the clouds, in a small space monitoring station orbiting the planet, Lucas Hayden worked at his console. He was young, only 28, with dark hair that refused to stay in place and a pair of sharp eyes that never missed a detail. Lucas had always loved space. He liked the quiet hum of machines, the way the stars seemed endless, and the feeling that something important could happen at any moment. Today, however, the feeling was different. The monitors were alive with blinking lights, showing readings that Lucas had never seen before. Strange signals appeared on the radar, and some objects were moving far too fast to be any known satellites or space debris. He tapped the keyboard, running the data through every filter he knew. Nothing made sense. Claire Reed, the station's senior scientist, came rushing in. She was a little older than Lucas, in her mid-30s, with a calm face but eyes that burned with curiosity. "Lucas, what is it?" she asked. "Claire, look at this," Lucas said, pointing at the screen. "I've never seen anything move like this, and it's coming from outside our solar system." Claire leaned over and adjusted the zoom. The shapes were strange, almost triangular, but they seemed alive in a way that no human-made craft ever was. "Are these ships?" she asked softly. Lucas nodded. "I think so. And they are heading straight for Earth." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The hum of computers was the only sound. Then Claire said, "How fast?" Lucas swallowed. "Faster than anything we've ever seen. Faster than any alien craft we've tracked before. If they keep this speed, they'll be in Earth's orbit within days." The words hung in the air. Outside people continued their morning routines, completely unaware of the approaching threat. In the control room, panic was not yet present, but the tension was thick. Lucas felt his heart racing. He had read stories about alien invasions in books and seen them in movies, but this was real. They immediately contacted the Global Defense Network. Within hours, military satellites, space observatories, and ground-based radar stations confirmed the same thing. Ships were moving toward Earth, and they were armed. Reports suggested that these ships could destroy entire cities with ease. Earth had faced dangers before, but never like this. In the Pentagon, generals and scientists held an emergency meeting. Papers were spread across tables, and large screens displayed the alien fleet as it approached the solar system. Lucas and Claire were invited to join via secure video link. General Davidson, a tall man with gray hair and a voice like gravel, looked at the monitors. "We don't know who they are," he said, "but we do know they are powerful. We have to prepare." Claire spoke calmly but firmly. "General, we have one advantage. We can study their signals. They are trying to communicate." "Communicate?" another officer asked. "They are moving fast enough to destroy us." "Who has time to communicate?" "Even a small signal might tell us something," Claire replied. "Something we can use." Lucas added, "I've started decoding their patterns. There's something strange here. It's almost like they are sending a message to someone." Meanwhile, across the globe, news of unidentified ships approaching Earth began to leak. Social media exploded. People posted videos of strange lights in the sky. Scientists were interviewed on TV, trying to calm the public, but rumors spread faster than facts. Panic began to rise. In New York, Emma Collins, a young reporter, watched the live feeds on her screen. She typed rapidly, trying to write an article that explained the approaching ships without causing hysteria. "Something is happening," she whispered to herself. "Something big." Back at the space station, Lucas continued his work. Hours passed as he and Claire ran simulations, trying to predict the ship's path and speed. Each new reading made their stomachs tighten. The ships were not only fast, they were smart. They avoided known defense satellites, staying just out of reach. Claire looked at Lucas. "They are scouting. They want to know what we have." "What do they want with Earth?" Lucas asked. Claire shook her head. "I don't know. But if they are coming this close, it could be for resources, for territory, or worse." The thought of invasion hung heavy in the room. Lucas felt a cold sweat. He had to focus. If humanity had any chance, it depended on him and Claire understanding the signals before the ships arrived. Days passed. Alerts continued to flood in. The ships were now visible to human-made telescopes. People across the world reported seeing dark silhouettes moving silently across the sky. Governments warned citizens to remain calm, but fear was growing. Lucas and Claire spent every waking hour in the control room. Sleep became a luxury. They noticed something unusual. The ships emitted a strange pulse, almost like a heartbeat. Claire theorized it was a method of communication or perhaps a scanning system. Then, one morning, Lucas noticed a pattern within the pulse. "Claire, look at this. It's not just random." Claire leaned in. "You're right. It repeats. And it's almost rhythmic. Like a code." Lucas felt a thrill of hope. If they could decode this, maybe they could understand the aliens' intentions. He worked quickly, entering the patterns into the station's computers. Hours passed as the machine processed the data. Then, finally, a message appeared on the screen, written in symbols they had never seen. Claire frowned. "It's not language as we know it, but it's definitely information. They want something, or they are warning someone." Lucas nodded. "We need to figure out who it's for and what it says." Outside, the world continued its anxious wait. Airplanes flew, ships sailed, and cities buzzed with life, unaware that their fate could depend on the work of two people in a small space station. As night fell, the alien ships stopped at the edge of the solar system. They hovered in silence, as if observing. Lucas and Claire stared at the monitors, hearts pounding. Every second felt like an hour. Then a new signal arrived. This one was different. Clearer, stronger. Lucas felt a chill run down his spine. The ships were communicating directly now, but not with humans. They were speaking to someone else, or something else. Claire whispered, "They're not coming straight at us yet, but they are here. They are watching, and they know we are here." Lucas nodded. He felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. We need to understand the message before they decide what to do next. For the first time, he realized that Earth was not just a home. It was a target. And how humans responded could mean the difference between survival and destruction. Across the globe, military forces scrambled, cities fortified, satellites adjusted, but all eyes, consciously or unconsciously, were turning to the sky. Lucas and Claire worked through the night, decoding symbols, comparing pulses, and searching for meaning. Each breakthrough brought more questions than answers. But they knew they had no choice. The fate of the planet rested in their hands, and they could not fail. By morning, the alien ships were closer, tiny specks now visible through telescopes, moving with precision and intent. Humanity was united in fear, though few realized why. Governments prepared defenses, scientists studied the patterns, and ordinary people prayed silently. Lucas rubbed his tired eyes and looked at Claire. "Do you think they will attack?" Claire shook her head slowly. "I don't know. But whatever happens, we need to be ready, and we need to understand them first." The day wore on, and the world waited. The alien fleet remained just outside the solar system, silent but constantly moving. Every nation watched, every scientist analyzed, and every person wondered what was coming. Lucas typed furiously, following the rhythm of the alien pulses. Something told him that this was not just a battle of weapons, it was a battle of understanding. If humans could figure out the message, perhaps they could survive. Perhaps they could even make the aliens rethink their plans. But time was short. Each passing hour brought the ships closer. And somewhere, far above Earth, a decision was being made. One that could change the future of the planet forever. Lucas looked at the screen. The message was still undeciphered, but he felt a strange sense of hope. Maybe humans were small, fragile, and often underestimated, but they were clever. They were resourceful, and sometimes that was enough. The alien fleet was coming. Earth was the next target. and humanity was about to find out just how strong it could be when faced with the unknown. The alien ships stayed at the edge of the solar system. They did not move closer, but they did not leave either. On Earth, everyone waited, watching the sky with fear. Satellites recorded every movement. Military forces scanned constantly. Scientists worked day and night to understand what was happening. Lucas Hayden sat at his console, rubbing his tired eyes. He had not slept properly since the first ships were detected. Claire Reed, beside him, looked just as exhausted. But neither of them could stop. Every signal mattered. Every pulse could be a clue. Lucas tapped a key and brought up the latest readings. "Claire, look at this," he said. "The pulses are changing." Claire leaned over. "Changing how?" "They are reacting to us. I think they are watching our communications. Our satellites. Maybe even our broadcasts." Claire's eyes widened. "They can understand us?" Lucas shook his head. "Not in our language, but they understand that we are here. They know what we are doing." Outside the station, the world continued its nervous watch. People began to notice something strange. News reports showed unusual patterns in the sky. Sometimes the ships seemed to move slightly, almost as if they were adjusting to something invisible. Military analysts called it behavior, which made everyone even more nervous. Back at the station, Lucas and Claire studied the pulses. Each wave of energy seemed deliberate. It was not just random signals. It was structured. They worked through the night trying to decode it. Claire said, "It's like they are trying to communicate with someone else." But who or what? Lucas frowned.
I don't know, but I think it might be a warning.
"Maybe they are telling someone not to touch Earth." Claire shook her head. "Or maybe it's a threat. Maybe they are warning us." Lucas paused. "If it is a threat, why haven't they attacked yet?" They could not answer. The truth was that no one knew what the aliens were planning. Not even the fleet itself seemed fully predictable. Meanwhile, the media was filled with speculation. Emma Collins, the reporter in New York, interviewed scientists, government officials, and ordinary citizens. Fear was spreading fast. People began preparing for the worst. Some packed supplies. Others stayed glued to live feeds. Children asked questions their parents could not answer. At the station, Lucas received an encrypted message from a high-ranking military officer. "Lucas, we want a full analysis of those signals. Can you confirm whether this is hostile or not?" Lucas read the message aloud. "We don't know yet," he said. "It's complex. The signals are structured, like a code, but it's not a language we understand." "We are trying to decode it," Claire added. "If we can understand it, maybe we can prevent an attack." The officer's reply came quickly. "Do everything you can. Time is short. Humanity is counting on you." Lucas felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He was just one person, working with Claire and a small team, trying to interpret something completely alien. And yet, he knew they were the best chance Earth had. Days passed. The ships remained at the edge of the solar system, observing. Earth's defenses were on high alert, but they did not engage. Scientists debated whether the ships were studying humans or waiting for something. Lucas and Claire focused on decoding the pulses, which now seemed more like a rhythm than a signal.
"It's almost like they are alive," Claire said one morning.
"Not biological life, but their actions have purpose. They respond to stimuli. They watch, they adapt." Lucas nodded. "Maybe that's why they haven't attacked yet. They are cautious. They want to understand us before making a move." Suddenly, Lucas noticed a change in the pulse pattern.
Claire, look at this. It's repeating in a new way.
"It's different from before." Claire leaned over and examined the data. "It's a message, not in words, but information. They are sending something to each other, and it's about us." Lucas's heart raced. "We need to capture it. We need to understand it." They worked tirelessly, using every computer, every scanner, and every technique they knew. For hours they compared the new pulses to the old ones, looking for differences. Slowly, Patterns emerged. It was a warning sent to someone else, not to humans. Lucas stared at the screen. Claire, they are afraid of us. Claire blinked. Afraid? That doesn't make sense. We are humans. They are the advanced fleet. They can destroy us easily. Lucas shook his head.
Apparently not. Something about humans.
Something they can't predict is making them hesitate. As the realization sank in, Claire whispered, "Maybe this is why they haven't attacked yet. Maybe they are scared." Lucas felt a strange mix of relief and fear. Relief because the immediate danger seemed less. Fear because the unknown was still dangerous. Across the world, alien experts, those who studied other civilizations, had similar observations. The fleet did not act like other conquerors. They observed, they scanned, and they sent signals to one another that suggested worry. At the station, Lucas and Claire shared the findings with military leaders. "We don't have a direct threat," Lucas explained, "but the aliens are monitoring us. They are cautious. And something about humans is making them pause." The generals exchanged worried glances. "What do you mean, something about humans?" one officer asked. Lucas said, "I don't know exactly, but they know we are here. They know we can fight back in ways they do not expect, and it scares them." Claire added, "We are unpredictable. That may be the only reason they have not attacked." Meanwhile, in orbit, Lucas noticed movement among the ships. Some ships shifted slightly, almost as if they were communicating visually, using their position in space like a language. He realized that their communication was not only through pulses, but also through formation. The fleet was discussing strategy.
"Claire," Lucas said, "look at their positions. They are rearranging."
It's like a warning system among themselves. "I think they are debating whether to continue or retreat."
Claire nodded. "We need to understand that message fully."
It could save lives. Lucas worked through the night, mapping every pulse, every movement, every pattern. He discovered that the fleet was connected. Each ship was aware of the others. And each ship responded immediately to changes, showing that the fleet was not just strong, it was smart. But then Lucas noticed something else. One small pattern repeated more than the others. It was almost like a name or a word. "Claire, I think they're talking about someone specific, or something specific, maybe about Earth itself." Claire looked over his shoulder. "Do you mean they know about us?" Lucas nodded. "They must. Otherwise, why would the pulse repeat like this? They are focused on Earth, on humans." The world was beginning to realize that Earth was important. Not just another planet, not just another species. Humans had become a subject of attention. Across the globe, people began to notice subtle signs in the skies. Satellites showed strange lights, and amateur astronomers reported seeing formations in orbit. Scientists tried to calm the public, but fear grew. Lucas and Claire were exhausted, but they could not stop. Every second mattered. They worked together, side by side, pushing computers to their limits, trying to decode the alien intentions. Finally, after hours of work, Lucas leaned back. "Claire, I think we have it. We have the message. Not fully, but we know enough." Claire's eyes widened.
Enough for what? Lucas said slowly. Enough to know that they are worried. About humans.
About Earth. And that worry might be our advantage. Claire smiled faintly.
Then we need to use it.
We need to make sure we survive, and we need to make them think twice before attacking. As the alien fleet hovered at the edge of the solar system, a strange feeling came over Lucas. Fear had not disappeared. Danger was still near, but hope had entered the equation. For the first time since the ships appeared, humans had a real chance. Somewhere out there, in the dark reaches of space, the alien captains communicated with each other. They shared data, analyzed human signals, and made calculations. And somewhere in their advanced minds, worry had entered. A tiny, unsteady feeling that they had not expected. Lucas and Claire watched the screens, tired but determined. The world waited below. Cities were alive with tension. People went about their lives with a shadow of fear hanging over them. But humans had survived worse, and maybe, just maybe, the very thing that made them unpredictable would save them now. The alien ships were not attacking yet, but they were watching. And in watching, they revealed their fear. That fear, though small, was something humans could not have imagined a few days ago. Lucas tapped a key and sent the new analysis to the Global Defense Network. "They are worried," he typed. "And if we understand them, we might just survive this." Claire leaned back, exhausted but smiling. "Then let's make sure they never forget humans are not easy to predict." Outside, the stars continued to shine. The alien fleet lingered, cautious. And Earth, for the first time in a long time, held its breath, not just in fear, but in hope. Humans had become the subject of attention, not by strength or power, but by unpredictability and resilience. And somewhere far beyond the solar system, alien captains began to doubt themselves. For now, Earth had a moment of peace. But the story was far from over. The message had been received, and everything was about to change. The alien fleet had been hovering near the edge of the solar system for days. They did not attack, but they did not leave either. Inside the fleet, captains and commanders communicated in a strange, sharp language that sounded like nothing humans had ever heard. Their ships glowed softly, sending pulses and lights that seemed almost like emotions, signaling warnings, frustration, and confusion. Back on Earth, Lucas Hayden and Claire Reed continued their work. They had decoded more of the alien pulses and realized something incredible. The messages were not just warnings or threats, they were panic signals. The aliens were afraid of humans, of Earth, and of what humans could do that they could not predict. Lucas leaned over the console, heart racing. "Claire, it's worse than we thought. They are panicking. Look at this data. They are not just observing, they are arguing with each other." Claire's eyes widened.
Arguing?
"But they are supposed to be perfect. Calculating. Logical." Lucas shook his head. "Apparently not everything about us fits into their calculations. Something about humans scares them." Across the globe, governments and military leaders continued to prepare. Cities were fortified, satellites were monitored, and soldiers trained for potential attacks. But no attack came. People began to notice a strange calm in the sky. The ships were there, huge and silent, but they did not move closer. Lucas and Claire worked tirelessly. Every pulse they captured told a story of fear. The alien captains were trying to understand humans, and every new piece of information made them more nervous. They could not predict humans. Humans acted in ways that were chaotic, clever, and surprising. And the fleet, despite its advanced technology, could not deal with the unpredictability. Claire looked at Lucas. "This is our chance. We can use this fear. We can turn it into a strategy." Lucas nodded. "If we can show them that humans are even more capable than they think, they might retreat without a fight." Meanwhile, the aliens continued their communications. Some ships emitted light pulses that looked almost like shaking or quivering. Others moved in patterns that suggested indecision. For the first time in history, a superior fleet faced something it could not understand: human ingenuity. On Earth, news of the alien presence was becoming widespread. People watched the skies, worried but curious. Scientists gave interviews explaining that the ships were monitoring Earth, but no one had a full explanation. Citizens prepared for the worst, but life went on. People were afraid, yes, but also fascinated. The idea that humans had made the aliens hesitate gave them hope. Lucas studied the latest pulses. "Claire, look at this. They are sending a message that says, in effect, we cannot risk this. It is a direct warning to their own commanders."
Claire frowned. "A warning?"
To each other? Lucas nodded.
Yes, they fear humans.
They fear what we might do if provoked, and they cannot predict it. The thought made Claire shiver. Humans had always been small in the universe, seen as weak and unimportant. Yet now, that weakness was part of their strength. Their unpredictability, creativity, and resourcefulness were more than any alien could calculate. Somewhere far above, the alien captains held an emergency meeting. Their ships aligned into strange formations, lights flashing rapidly. Lucas and Claire's sensors picked up the signals. The aliens were panicking, debating whether to continue the approach or retreat. Lucas typed quickly into the secure military network. The fleet is arguing. They are afraid. They are not sure if they can continue. We need to use this. Military leaders studied the data, stunned. For the first time, humans had discovered the enemy's fear before any attack occurred. The situation had shifted from defense to advantage. Claire continued her analysis. Lucas, if we can make them believe humans are even more capable, they might leave without firing a single shot. We just need to show them a hint of what we can do. Lucas nodded. We don't need to fight. We just need to prove we are unpredictable and resourceful. That alone may be enough. The next day, a new pulse arrived from the fleet. This one was stronger, almost frantic. Lucas and Claire analyzed it quickly. The aliens were debating internally whether to risk moving closer to Earth. Some captains argued that humans were too dangerous. Others suggested retreat. Claire whispered, "They are afraid of our unpredictability. They don't know what we can do." That fear is spreading across the fleet. Lucas leaned back, feeling a surge of hope. That's it. That's the advantage. They are smart, yes. Powerful, yes. But they are afraid. And fear can be stronger than weapons.
Across the world, the news media picked up strange signals.
Some scientists claimed that the fleet was behaving oddly, as if hesitant. The public noticed a change in tone. Fear remained, but curiosity and hope also grew. Humans had discovered that they were not as powerless as they had thought. Lucas and Claire worked to amplify the effect. They used satellites to broadcast simulated human activity, showing innovation, clever maneuvers, and readiness. They did not reveal any true weapons, but they displayed human resourcefulness in ways the aliens could detect. Within hours, the fleet reacted. Ships shifted positions, formed tighter formations, and emitted rapid pulses. They were clearly in a state of panic. For the first time, the aliens could not predict the humans' response. Lucas studied the readings. Mariala Gozana. Claire, look. They are breaking apart. Some ships are moving back. Others are signaling to retreat. It's chaos for them. Claire smiled faintly. We haven't even fought yet, and they are panicking. This is incredible. Some captains on Earth suggested launching a preemptive strike, but military leaders refused. They had realized that the fleet's fear was the best weapon humanity had. No shots were fired. No cities were destroyed. And yet, humans held the advantage. Lucas and Claire watched the alien fleet carefully. The panic spread quickly among the ships. Orders were ignored or delayed. Some captains tried to assert control, but the signals showed confusion and worry. Earth's unpredictability was a weapon. On the ground, soldiers and civilians alike began to notice the subtle shift. Satellites detected changes in the alien fleet's behavior. Scientists explained that the aliens were retreating in small numbers, uncertain and fearful. Humanity had gained a precious window of time. Lucas typed a report. The fleet is fracturing. Fear is spreading among the alien captains. They are reconsidering their approach. We have an advantage. If we act carefully, we may avoid conflict entirely. Claire looked at the screens, exhausted but proud. They are learning one thing. Humans are not easy to control or predict. And that alone is terrifying them. For days, the fleet remained at the edge of the solar system, hesitant. Some ships left entirely, retreating to safer distances. Others stayed, trying to understand humans. But every pulse from Earth showed adaptability, creativity, and problem-solving beyond the aliens' calculations. Lucas and Claire continued their work, monitoring every movement, decoding every pulse. They realized that humans had become more than a target. Humans had become a puzzle the aliens could not solve. And that puzzle, with all its unpredictability, gave Earth the chance to survive without a single battle. Across the globe, people began to hope. Fear was still present, but hope grew stronger. The alien fleet's panic had been detected, analyzed, and understood. Humanity had turned what could have been total destruction into a moment of power. Lucas and Claire looked at each other. "We did it," Claire whispered. Lucas shook his head.
We didn't do it alone.
Humans everywhere, even unknowingly, showed the aliens what we are capable of. Our unpredictability saved us. The alien fleet, once a terrifying presence, now lingered at the solar system's edge. Panic and fear were written into their signals. Their technology was unmatched, their weapons deadly, but their calculations had failed. Humans could not be measured, predicted, or controlled. Somewhere inside the fleet, alien captains debated in a language Lucas could not understand. Yet the message was clear. Earth was not an easy target. Humans were more dangerous than expected. And, for the first time, fear had entered the minds of those who considered themselves supreme. On Earth, humanity celebrated cautiously. Scientists, leaders, and ordinary citizens realized that survival had come not from power, but from resourcefulness. Humans had survived because they could adapt, think creatively, and act unpredictably. Lucas leaned back, exhausted. "Claire, they are retreating. For now, at least." Claire nodded. "And they are learning. We don't know if they will come back."
But now we know something important. Fear can be stronger than firepower.
And humans. Humans can inspire fear without lifting a weapon. The stars above continued to shine. The alien fleet was still there, but it had changed. Its confidence was gone. It had seen what humans could do, and it was no longer sure of victory. Lucas looked at the monitors and whispered, "We might have just bought ourselves the greatest advantage in human history, and we did it with brains, courage, and unpredictability, not weapons." For the first time since the alien ships appeared, humanity felt a quiet pride. They had faced the unknown and survived. The fleet that had terrified the world now questioned itself. And the Earth, small and fragile, had shown strength that could not be measured. Somewhere in the universe, alien captains panicked, and somewhere on Earth, humans finally realized that their cleverness and creativity might be the most powerful weapons of all. The alien fleet slowly moved away from the solar system. Ships that had once hovered at the edge now drifted farther into the darkness, still scanning, still cautious. Lucas Hayden and Claire Reed watched the monitors in the space station, exhausted but alert. They had spent days analyzing, decoding, and observing, and now the results were clear. Earth had survived. The aliens were retreating. Lucas rubbed his tired eyes. "Claire, it's over. For now, at least." Claire shook her head, a small smile on her face. "Not over, Lucas. But we survived, and the aliens know that Earth is not easy to conquer."
Outside, Earth returned to its routines. Cities buzzed with life.
People went to work, children played in the parks, and airplanes crossed the skies. But now, a quiet sense of pride and awareness had settled over humanity. People knew that something huge had happened, even if they did not fully understand it. News agencies reported the alien retreat. Scientists explained that the fleet's sudden withdrawal was unusual, and that it showed hesitation, possibly even fear. Citizens listened in awe. Fear had dominated the world for days, but now hope and curiosity began to replace panic. Lucas and Claire continued their work, studying the remaining signals from the fleet. Even at a distance, the ships emitted pulses, but these were slower, hesitant, and measured. The aliens were still nervous. They were no longer confident in their superiority. Claire leaned back in her chair. "Lucas, they learned something about us, something they didn't expect, something they can't control." Lucas nodded slowly. Yes, they realized humans are unpredictable, resourceful, creative, and that unpredictability scares them more than any weapon. Across the globe, humanity began to take notice of how unique their species could be. Leaders spoke about the importance of intelligence, adaptability, and courage. Scientists and engineers celebrated the role of human creativity in survival. Ordinary citizens felt a newfound confidence. Even children who had once hidden under beds at the thought of aliens now spoke with excitement about what humans had achieved. Meanwhile, in orbit, Lucas noticed the alien signals changing again. The fleet was reorganizing, retreating in small groups, sending rapid pulses as if to communicate their fear. Lucas typed notes quickly.
They are coordinating a retreat. They are not attacking anymore.
But they are still studying us. They are still afraid.
Claire nodded. That's all we need for now. They will remember us.
They will think twice before approaching again. On Earth, governments began analyzing what had happened. Military leaders studied the alien technology, but they also studied the human approach. For the first time, humans had faced a superior force, not with weapons alone, but with strategy, creativity, and unpredictability. Lucas's work at the station became known worldwide. He and Claire were praised for understanding the alien signals and helping humanity survive without firing a single shot. Lucas felt proud, but also humble. Claire, he said, we didn't fight them directly. We just understood them. And that was enough.
Claire smiled. That's what makes humans strong. Not just weapons.
Not just numbers, but brains, courage, and cleverness. That is something the aliens cannot calculate. The fleet continued to move farther into space. Some ships sent occasional pulses, trying to make sense of humans, but their signals were slower and uncertain. Lucas realized that the aliens would carry their fear across the galaxy. Earth would now be known as a planet that could not be easily conquered. Back on the planet, life began to normalize. People returned to work, schools reopened, and public events resumed. But the memory of the approaching fleet remained fresh. Humanity had been on the edge of disaster, and they had survived because of their ingenuity. Lucas and Claire monitored the skies for days. Slowly, the remaining signals from the fleet faded. The universe returned to its quiet, endless rhythm, as if nothing had happened. But the humans who had lived through the fear knew better. They had survived something extraordinary. In New York, Emma Collins reported on the aftermath. Humans have faced an unknown superior force and survived. The fleet that threatened our planet has retreated, and scientists say it was fear and caution that kept them from attacking. Humanity has shown that intelligence, creativity, and unpredictability are as powerful as weapons. Across the globe, people cheered quietly in homes, offices, and streets. They knew that Earth had been tested and had not fallen. They celebrated not just survival, but the qualities that made humans unique. Courage, problem-solving, and cleverness had saved the planet. At the space station, Lucas looked at the stars. Claire, they will remember this. Other civilizations will know that humans cannot be underestimated. Claire nodded. Yes, and we have to be ready for the future. They may come back, but now we know what works. Humans are more than just fragile bodies and small numbers. We are smart, adaptable, and unpredictable. Lucas smiled faintly. And that is enough to make even the most powerful fleet hesitate. Days turned into weeks. The alien fleet became a distant memory, and the solar system returned to normal activity. Scientists continued to study the signals, military leaders updated defense plans, and citizens learned that survival was possible, even against overwhelming odds. Lucas and Claire wrote reports, documenting every pulse, every signal, every behavior of the alien fleet. They wanted humanity to understand what had happened and what had saved them. Not weapons, not sheer numbers, but intelligence and unpredictability. Even ordinary people began to understand. Schools taught about the importance of thinking creatively. Governments funded research into problem-solving and adaptability. Humanity began to realize that the real strength was within themselves. Somewhere far beyond the solar system, the alien captain still remembered Earth. Their calculations had failed. Their confidence had shaken. Fear had entered their ranks. Humans had shown them that strength was not just about weapons or technology. It was about cleverness, creativity, and the refusal to be predictable. Back on Earth, Lucas and Claire watched the final signals fade. It's really over, Lucas said softly. Claire nodded. For now. But humanity is stronger than before. We learn that fear can be a weapon, and cleverness can be stronger than any fleet. Lucas looked at the stars, feeling a quiet pride. We survived. And we did it in a way no one expected. We didn't fight, we just existed as humans. And that was enough. Across the globe, people reflected on what had happened. Families talked about courage and creativity. Scientists worked to prepare for future threats. Governments planned, but now they understood that humans had advantages that no technology could match. Lucas and Claire continued to monitor the skies, not because they expected another attack, but because humanity had learned the value of awareness. They knew that the universe was full of unknowns, but they also knew that humans had the tools to survive. Months later, life on Earth had returned to normal. People went about their routines, but they carried with them the knowledge that they had survived a threat far greater than anything before. Fear had been replaced by cautious confidence. Humanity knew that intelligence, courage, and unpredictability were the greatest weapons they had. Lucas looked at Claire one last time in the control room. We did it together, and humans everywhere did it without knowing it.
That is our strength, Claire smiled.
Yes. Humans survive because we never give up. We think, we adapt, we act. And that is why Earth remains safe. The stars above continued to shine, endless and quiet. The alien fleet was gone, retreating into the depths of space, carrying with it the lesson that humans could not be easily measured or controlled. And on Earth, life continued, wiser and stronger. Humanity had survived the greatest test it had ever faced, not with weapons, not with power, but with cleverness, adaptability, and courage. And that was a strength no alien could calculate or predict. Lucas and Claire finally allowed themselves to rest, knowing that Earth had survived, and humanity had proven its worth in the galaxy. The universe had seen Earth's humans, and for the first time, it understood that the species was more dangerous than it appeared. Not because of strength or size, but because humans were clever, resourceful, and fearless in the face of the unknown. And that truth would echo across the stars forever.